Thank you very much for a very warm welcome in Israel. I believe I'm the first foreign minister to visit Israel after the ceasefire with Iran, and I told you when I told my European colleagues about my plans to go to Israel, because I planned to go some time ago on Tuesday, so I postponed it on Monday. I talked to my colleagues in the Foreign Affairs Council and said, I'm planning to go to Israel. Some of them told me, you're brave. And I said, no, it's not me who is brave, but it's the Israeli people that are brave, facing and living in times of existential threats. So this is, and showing, by the way, remarkable resilience. This is why I want to begin my remarks with a simple message. Austria stands firmly by Israel and the Israeli people as a true friend. Our commitment to Israel's security, sovereignty, and the right to exist is unwavering. As a nation, we carry the responsibility of our history. We talked about that, and we do not forget. My visit to Yad Vashem tomorrow will serve as a solemn reminder of that responsibility. Austria's support for Israel is built on more than words. It is based on our shared democratic values and demonstrated by our commitment to protecting Jewish life wherever it is under threat. Our strategic partnership, you talked about it, launched in 2022, reflects the strong and growing relationship between Austria and Israel. And honestly, we are deeply moved that 20,000 descendants of Holocaust survivors have accepted Austrian citizenship in recent years. This is a sign of reconciliation and renewed connection. And it makes the recent rise in anti-Semitic incidents, both in Europe and globally, all the more troubling and unacceptable. In times like these, open dialogue and diplomacy are paramount. That's why I'm here today, because true friends do not turn away in difficult times. This is my belief. Ladies and gentlemen, after our press conference, Gideon and I will go to Bat Yam to see firsthand the terrible impact of an Iranian attack on a civilian target. In this context, I want to be very clear. Iran must never be allowed to acquire a nuclear weapon. We have always recognized the threat posed by Iran, from calling for the destruction of Israel to directing its proxies to attack it. My heart goes out to all the innocent civilians who have lost their lives in recent weeks, and I sincerely hope that the bloodshed has finally come to a close, while a historic window for the return to dialogue and diplomacy opens. For us, a credible path forward must be based on respect for international law, credible restrictions on Iran's nuclear program, and effective oversight by the IAEA. To reach such an agreement, Austria is prepared to offer its support in any meaningful way, and of course, we again stand ready to host negotiations once again. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to address the situation in Gaza. The terrorist attack of October 7 was a moment of unspeakable brutality. The cruelty and the scale of the attacks shocked us, shocked the world, and shocked also me personally as a mother of 3 children in a way nobody would have ever imagined that. There can be no justification for such barbarism. Austria stands in full solidarity with Israel. At the same time, I believe that even in this difficult moment, there is a genuine opportunity to move towards peace in Gaza, precisely because the current situation is unsustainable. The humanitarian conditions on the ground are unbearable. They demand urgent changes. Let me be frank, the suffering of civilians is increasingly burdening Israel's relations with Europe. A ceasefire must be agreed upon, yes. Hamas must release all the hostages without preconditions, and humanitarian aid must resume. By the way, speaking about hostages, I was able to meet Tal Shoham when he returned to Vienna, and I was also able to visit the families of Guy Gilboa and Vietan David. They also came to visit in Austria, and I think I'm going to see them today or tomorrow again, as well as Tal Shoham. And the family of Eviatan, I think they gave me in Vienna this as a reminder that he's still kept hostage in Gaza, and actually it was not an intention to take it with me to Israel, but I just I carried it with me in my purse all the time. So I think it's just we know what we think about the families and the hostages all the time, and hope for their immediate release. Of course, I talked about that Hamas must release all hostages without preconditions, and humanitarian aid must resume, not only in symbolic terms, but in the volume and scope that existed before the blockade, and in line with international humanitarian principles. Of course, the current escalation of settler violence in the West Bank must stop as well. Only then can the door open for credible political process. Such a process must be based on clear security guarantees for Israel and the disarmament of Hamas. Let me be clear, Hamas must not be part of Gaza's future. At the same time, Gaza cannot be stripped of its Palestinian character. In our assessment, this is the only pathway to long-term stability, aiming at the two-state solution. The role of regional partners, particularly the Arab states, will be essential in creating the political and security conditions for such a future. We see a historic window of opportunity. The people of Israel have shown extraordinary resilience, unity, and strength. They have a right to live in peace, free from existential threats. And this moment also offers a chance to shape a different future for the Palestinian people, a future without Hamas, but instead with dignity, responsibility, and the hope of coexistence. We owe it to all those suffering from the consequences of war, Israeli and Palestinian alike, to seize this chance for peace before it slips away. Ladies and gentlemen, dear Gideon, I would once again like to express my sincere gratitude for your warm welcome. I'm truly happy to be spending the coming days in Israel on my first official visit. It's not my first visit, it's my first official visit to Israel. These exchanges and the conversations we have already begun are an important step in strengthening our close ties. And Gideon, I very much hope you will find time in the near future to come to Austria so that I can welcome you with the same hospitality that you have shown.
Thank you, Beate. I will.
Great. Thank you.
Ministers will now take a few questions. Yes, please.
Good morning, Ministers. Thank you for the question. Mr. Saar, would it be fair to say, Dan Williams from Bloomberg, would it be fair to say that Syria is now a likelier prospect or a sooner prospect of making peace with Israel than Saudi Arabia is?